Hey everybody, here we are. We are live, and tonight I have this two and a half, this three amazing people. You can see I have Julie and Josh from Julie's Canine Academy, and little Jessie. Oh my gosh, so cute. I can't contain myself. I love babies. Look at this little boy. Hang on, let me get out of the screen so you guys can see him. Look at him. Oh my god. Yay! Oh my gosh.
Give a little wave there.
It's looking the wrong way.
This is just, oh, look at him. Look at him. Jesse's the thing. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Okay, guys, the reason why I got this awesome people here tonight for a live show is so we can talk a little bit about everything, really. These two do an amazing work with dogs. They train dogs in their home. They do a ton of works, from easy going dogs to very tough cases. And tonight we're going to talk about all of that. So, Julie and Josh, thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. You know, I love you guys. I'm so excited to have you here. I want to start tonight talking a little bit about the beginnings, right? I remember a while ago, Julie did a live stream talking about the beginnings, like how she started and the transition from having another job and doing board and trains, and when you got to be comfortable just going head on Julie's Canine Academy. Talk to me a little bit about that. How was that start?
Oh my goodness. So I worked at a hospital for 15 years, and I did x-rays and MRI, so radiology.
Okay.
And then I adopted a dog in 2014, and he was the worst behaved dog I have ever met. I couldn't walk him. He jumped all over people. I had to lock him away when people came over. He tore apart things in my house. And he would growl if I tried to move him off the couch or the bed. And so I started doing research on training, and I really started to fall in love with it. And so I started training him, and I was getting good results. And so I actually went to one of Jeff's seminars, and I loved it. And when I got back from that, I started helping friends and family and got really good results. And from there, I started to get in my head, like, I think I could do this full time. And so when I had booked a couple board and trains out, I quit my job completely after almost 16 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was scary. And I've been going full speed ahead with the business ever since. So it was really just a very poorly behaved dog that started it all.
Was it Riggins?
Yes.
It's almost hard to believe. Like, we see him in all those videos. He's been helping a lot, right? And usually we see him like helping other dogs and being so well behaved. And it's hard to imagine that he was this crazy, not behaved dog, right?
Well, we always say in the wrong hands, he would go back to how he was. He would.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big guy, too.
He is almost 90 pounds.
Oh, God.
Huge. So it was no fun when he was not behaving.
Now, tell me a little bit about this first few clients that you had. Like, because a lot of people have questions about, you start training your friends, your dog's the dog that belongs to your friends, your family dogs, and all that stuff, and you get good results. But sometimes I feel that people jump too quick into too tough cases. Like, instead of going in between, trying to, get a little bit of those dogs that are not that tough. So how did you make that transition? Because I know you guys work with tough dogs now. I've seen some of the recent cases. So tell me about that part.
Yeah, so I had always done only basic friendly dogs who just need to learn obedience. Just your typical jumps on people, pulls on the leash, steals things off the counters. When Josh came on board is when we started to do more serious cases, because he has way more experience than I do and brought a whole new level to the company. And he actually started to work on the more tough cases. Yeah. Dogs with a bite history, dogs with severe anxiety, fear, dog aggression and human aggression. Yep. All Josh.
I remember that time because I was following you already. So I remember when I think you guys went to T3 or something, right? It was.
Yes.
I'm gonna see some videos. You and I think it was Heather from Positively Calm and Josh, and you guys are talking a lot. And then I remember when Josh came in, and boom, then you had all these, different dogs coming in. So Josh, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was actually one of those people that you referred to as taking difficult dogs from the beginning. I started with my dog just like Julie did, and he wasn't an extremely challenging dog at the time, but he was a Saint Bernard mix, so he was really big. And I had a shoulder injury, and he was pulling us all over the place. So I was like, no, I need to have a dog that I can have as my right hand man, a companion. I want him to. I had an envision of him walking, off leash with me and all these things. And I'm like, you can get that, right? So I started looking into it, and just like Julie and everybody else, you get good at that. But pretty immediately, I had a best friend, one of my best friends who owns a company in New York, a boarding company and a training company. Shout out to Mountain Canine. He's a good friend of mine, Omer. His dog was one of the most aggressive dogs to this day that I've ever met. And I was like, can I work with Sonny, was his name? And he was like, okay, you can as many times as you want. He'd let me take him. And basically, I cut my teeth on Sonny learning about, dog aggression. I just went in for it. And I was new, but I had experience from my previous job with behavioral issues with people, so I had some knowledge there. I had a handful of dogs that I had worked with, but I pretty much jumped right into it, and I got results with him. I ended up, he wasn't perfect, but I could keep him from going after other dogs. I could have him walking with other dogs. I taught Omer kind of learned with me, and he was able to keep Sonny in check as well. And so I was like, oh, there's progress to be made with these types of dogs. And so then when I started my career, I just did a little bit of everything. Most of my dogs were just like the dog that Julie described, and I was learning how to teach obedience. I was learning more about dog behavior. I was learning how to become the leader with these dogs, and I'd sprinkle in these tougher cases. So I'd have like maybe one tough case a month. So I'd give myself time with these difficult dogs, and just learn from them. So I would take on a difficult dog just about once a month. And about a year or two in, I started to get decent at it. I wouldn't say great at it, but I was getting results, and my clients were happy. And it just snowballed from there. You get better the more you do it. So how to ease into it? I've seen people ease into it. Let me say this, because I like to be honest. All the great dog trainers who are good with dog like aggression and that I admire and study, they all jumped right into it too. So I don't know the smooth way, because everybody I look up to just started doing it, and it's like, yeah, being bit is part of the reality. It's possible they're gonna snap at you, and you're probably gonna get bit. But if you're like I was when I was in my early 20s or mid 20s, I started when I was 26. You're like, that's part of the thrill. You're like, all right, dangerous. I need something dangerous in my life right now, because this 9 to 5 is boring as shit. And I need something that gives me, wakes me up and gives me a purpose. I need a challenge. So I really enjoyed the challenge of working with more difficult dogs. And I really like the fact that I could get them to accept me as a pack leader, and I can integrate them with my dogs and have success in my own home and live with these dogs who are labeled aggressive, and get them to the point where they're not being that way towards me or my family. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to do, and it's an honor to be able to take these dogs, and people trust me enough to learn.
I don't get bit anymore.
I mean, I don't get bit often. Don't get me wrong. I don't get bit often, but I've been bit. I've probably been bit like 5 times in my career, something like that.
I it's interesting to see that, because I think it's sort of unplanned. Sometimes you are in a situation, then you end up starting helping a dog, and then you find out that dog has some sort of aggression. It kind of happened a little bit kind of like that to me in the beginning. This is not what I do all the time, especially because I don't have the place to work with dogs like this all the time, but every once in a while I'm faced with dogs like that, because I kind of started backwards. I started really focused on leadership and not too much in obedience. I learned obedience later,
Me too.
much later. So I was all about the body language, the presence,
Yep.
the leadership part, and I really didn't know much about obedience at all. But I'm very scared. After I was bitten badly, not horribly, but a bad bite once, and that was something that kind of woke me up and be like, okay, I need to be a little bit more careful because
Yeah.
it could have been much worse. So there's a fine line. Like I don't know, it's a lot instinctual. Some people I know that they don't want to get close to these cases. I won't say that this is what I love the most, but I do get what you say, that when you say that it's a beautiful thing when you can actually help them. It's such a different feeling, right?
It's way different feeling. Yeah, it's way different. And I'm like you. I started I came from the dog whispering background, so
Yeah.
I didn't know how to teach commands for the first year of my career. I mean, the walk. I could get a dog to walk next to me, but I was calling it heel, but that was the extent of my knowledge as far as obedience. But I'm glad I took that road because I was forced to learn how to deal with dogs based purely off their psyche.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to use an e-collar back then, or even a prong collar. I was
Yeah.
on regular slip lead, and I'd show up to people's houses with a backpack on. I'd charge them $50, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I just stepped in the door, and they'd be like, "This is what's going on." And you don't have an e-collar, you don't know who Jeff Gallman is yet.
Yeah.
You're just figuring it out, and you're trying to use all your knowledge and all the studying that you do to figure it out, and you can get pretty good results. I'm glad I started there because everything I've learned as far as obedience and the e-collar work that I do makes it really easy.
Yes.
But if I started with this easiness, I wouldn't be the same guy here today. I feel like I wouldn't have been forced to learn dog behavior to the extent that I had to learn it to have success.
Yeah, it was exactly the same for me. Like the first I heard of tools like prong collars and e-collars, it was like probably 5 years ago. I didn't know anything about that before that. It was all about, because I did a workshop with Caesar in 2013, and before that I used to follow him, and I didn't really know anybody else different, and this is how it started. And it kind of forces you to be a lot creative and instinctual and do things like what you see right there, and then you try to react accordingly and try to deal with the situation with what you see and what you have in your hands. And today I feel like, oh my gosh, everything's so easy. I have the e-collar and I have the prong collar,
We're
and
making
it's
it hard on ourselves.
yeah,
But it's a beautiful thing to walk into a situation and be presented a behavioral issue, and you have to actually think.
Yeah.
And you have to figure it out with the dog in front of you. And I think having those skills made my e-collar work better because I'm able now to integrate my dog whispering background with the e-collar work, and I found a way that it enhances that approach that I used to do. So now it's a mix, it's a blend between modern day e-collar technology or techniques and obedience with just the human and dog relation, the dog whispering stuff, the stuff where you're able to read the dog and you know how to move your body.
Yeah.
That beautiful, delicate dance that I fell in love with, I'm still able to use. I lost it for a year or maybe more because I was like, let me set this aside, the dog whispering thing aside, and let me focus heavily on just obedience work. So I had to teach myself that. Now I'm at a point where I can blend them, and I'm really happy with how the dogs are turning out. I feel like it's a much quicker transformation with a lot less unnecessary fights from the dog.
Yeah. And I think for me, the jump into the tools and to trying to get to know more about prong collars, e-collars, and all that stuff, it kind of started because I felt it was difficult for people to replicate that. And when I was seeing clients, and I said, well, I finally got this, I got this craft down. I know how to do things with the dog, but then, the families, they were not able to do the same thing. And today I kind of understand it a little bit better. It takes time. And you have to kind of put yourself in there and be with these dogs all the time and observe and feel. And people just they don't get it that quickly. So the tools come in just to make all that process of passing that work on to the family much easier. So I want you guys to talk about that, because I love seeing the go home videos when you guys put up the dogs that are leaving and you guys are explaining everything. So Tell me about that. This is so awesome because we see these dogs like rock stars. They come out of the program, they're excellent, they do everything. So,
I'm so glad you watched those videos because I take so much time to put them together.
I watch all of them, all of them. I usually watch on my Apple TV. I go through your entire YouTube channel and it's awesome.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, tools are so fantastic for transferring the leadership and training over to the owner.
Yeah.
We do all of the hard work and the reps and the changing of the mind to a more calm dog. And at the end, we're able to go, here you go, push this button.
Yeah.
If your dog doesn't listen.
Yeah. And that's what we figured out the art. We're still figuring it out. It's never ending. But we figured out that you can actually teach the dog that the e-collar stim means to relax and situational too, like whatever the context of the situation is. If you hit that stim, the dog has learned from us to judge the situation on what that might mean. But ultimately, the e-collar work that we do, what I think is so beautiful about it is, yes, we can do the commands and correct them to hold them accountable, but we take that extra step to make sure that if we grab any one of these dogs downstairs right now and take them up and just start clicking it at a low number, you're going to watch them go to stages of relaxation. They're going to sit, and then they're going to down, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to take a nap.
Yeah.
And so that is that is the secret sauce that we figured out how to have them associate the stim with calmness and politeness, and then we can literally just go here and give it to the owner.
Yeah.
And there's a whole process that Julie does all of the go homes pretty much, and she does a fantastic job at transferring, because it is a process, it's a ritual to transfer leadership over and understanding of the commands over.
I always tell owners it's sort of like your children listen and behave for the teacher in class, but then they go home and they don't listen to you.
Yeah.
So the dogs need to learn, hey, you got to listen to me, mom and dad now, not just Josh and Jolie. And so there's a whole process that we do. We transfer all the respect over to the owner, and by the end of the session, they are off-leash walking their dog that usually could never be off-leash, pulled so hard on the leash they almost never got walks. We've had dogs come through here that their paw pads were so soft, they've never been on a walk before.
Like they still got puppy paws and they're like 3 years old. So. You know, it's and it is an art to it, and we're trying to improve it every day and every year. And I feel like right now, I don't know if you would agree. I think we're the best that we've ever been.
Oh yeah.
Although we got room to grow for sure, but we've got a nice thing going here.
Yeah, I love the go home videos. I love all the videos, but I think the go home videos are the ones that really make you like smile, like look at this dog, look at how he was, and the whole process of, sometimes I remember one of these dogs was struggling to down, and I think you guys did a live show about it. Some dogs are a little bit tougher on that, and the guys didn't.
Well, we've had dogs. We had one dog went through an entire 8-week obedience class, and they never got the dog to lay down. Right. And they graduated this dog.
8 weeks is a long
time.
It
never laid down. And so, of course, we got the dog to lay down.
Yeah, I remember a couple of videos that I watched from you guys about down command. It's tough for some dogs. Some dogs just don't want to go down.
Oh, yeah. And that's a tough one to teach.
Some dogs don't want to work at all. They come in here and they don't want to do the process. They don't want to go through the process. But what we've discovered, and I'm not saying this will work for every dog, but what I think we discovered is the relationship actually is important between trainer and dog. And I know modern, the word on the street right now is that it doesn't matter. The relationship doesn't matter. But to me, it actually, if you build the right relationship with the dog, then you get trust and respect way quicker. Mm-hmm. You make progress way quicker. And then you're able to shape this dog and teach it new ways to behave because it trusts and respects you, and you can just transfer that over to the owners without having to go back to the old, like, remember when we were all doing dog whisper and stuff, we were just talking about we're doing Milan stuff. That stuff doesn't transfer in a session.
Yeah.
That person's gonna have to take a year of their life to learn how to do this properly. Where the e-collar, the reason it works so well is because the dog is conditioned on that stim to know what to do per each, whatever command we're given and whatever situation that they go in. And so we created an association to this tool and to the commands that we can then transfer over, and all they gotta do to remind the dog is touch that button. And it's the same button that we were using. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's not like when you had to do pops to correct.
Yeah.
You have to have good technique. You have to have good technique, and if they don't have good technique, it's not going to be as good. You can have shit technique.
Yeah.
Just put the button. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I really am I'm in love with taking the human and dog relationship and using modern tools to make it more accessible because for average people, because it takes an individual many years to learn how to work with a dog and to get these magnificent results.
Yeah.
And you can't give it to somebody. But now with the way that we're doing it with the e-collar, we can give that, and that's value. That's why people are willing to pay top dollar for this type of training, because we can give them the thing that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. They just wouldn't be able to get it.
Yep.
So.
No, and that's a good point. Sorry, just one more thing. Sometimes we get people messaging us saying, "Hey, can I buy an e-collar off of you?" And I want to say, don't put this on your dog and start hitting buttons and expect the same results that our dogs have, because so much work was put into our dogs to get those results.
A ton of work, and you can mess up a dog's belief system by using the e-collar wrong, or doing any type of correction wrong. I don't want to give the e-collar a bad name. It's my favorite tool. I've stated that numerous times. But if you're not correcting properly, you can take your dog's associations and things and start messing it up. And that's where and not to get too political, but that's where the purely positive people aren't completely wrong. See, most of the things they say aren't completely wrong. It's just that they need to understand that, oh, I know that too, guys. Yeah. I don't do that.
No.
I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very delicate dance with a lot of finesse that meant a lot of people struggle with finding out how to do. But if you learn how to do it, boy, you can help a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. E-collar changed the game for me, and it was a game changer for, especially
the whole industry.
Yeah, especially for one of my own dogs, one of the girls that I still have here, and it's funny because you just talked about teaching a dog how to relax on e-collar stem, and that's exactly what I get with her. She is a bit insecure. And so she was a dog that, used to patrol the apartment and be a little bit alert. And with the e-collar, it's instant. Like, when I started working her on the e-collar, I felt that she was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Of course, you do a whole bunch of stuff with the e-collar. It's something that I love. So I paired the e-collar with a whole bunch of stuff that she knows now. She didn't know then. But we work with the e-collar all the time. And I feel like this is what gets her to this stage where she can just... She can relax.
And I love that you said she's insecure, because sometimes people ask us, "Oh, can you still use an e-collar on a nervous, insecure dog?" I'm like, yes, that is the best tool to use on a nervous dog.
Well, absolutely. People get it wrong. People think e-collar, and they think all you're doing all day long is just bringing a dog in, giving it a huge correction on the e-collar, and sending it home, and you're like, next, and you have a line of dogs. And you're just like, taking in the money. No. The truth is you have to be a very competent trainer who's very educated and behavioral serious, Yeah. I study my butt off to understand not only dogs, but behavior in general and how it's affected. And so the e-collar is just a tool to help me leverage what I need to get. Can you get it without it? Probably, but it's going to take longer. And here's the thing: is the e-collar is the clearest tool I've ever found for a dog. Yeah. It is so precise. That's not good.
That's what I feel. It's almost like surgical, minuscule. Yeah, that point is just that you can't make that point as clear as you can with the e-collar. Let me see. We got a whole bunch of comments here. Everybody say hi. And somebody said, "Hey guys, so good to see the three of you." Okay, thank you. Leo had a question. Leo said, "Good evening. How do you deal with dogs who don't know much or nothing about them, especially when they are big and may seem scary?" Okay, let me give you a little bit of context here. Leo, there were a couple of dogs. They looked like Rhodesian Ridgeback mixes. They kind of showed up in front of his house. He already has 5 dogs in his house, so he cannot necessarily take them in. So he found people that are able to adopt these 2 dogs, but these people are kind of like fixing their home. So these 2 dogs are staying in his property for a month. So they're separated from his own pack, his own 5 dogs. but he's completely new to them. So he got them in an area of his house, and he kind of wants to figure out how to get close to them, or
Yeah, yeah.
you see.
I know what I would do, but I'm not saying this is what you should do.
Okay.
Because all I can do is speak to about what I would do. The way that one of the best ways to build a relationship with a dog that's based off of trust and respect, so the dog actually listens to you, and a good way to find out what the dog is struggling with up here, is to walk it. And so, and I'm not talking about let the dog drag all over the place. I'm talking a leadership style walk where you are taking the dog and leading the dog. If you don't know how to do that, then obviously don't do it. But if you do know how to do it, the gateway to getting the dog to be a follower, which is what you want. Yeah. Because if the dog accepts you as leading, that dog is tuned in with you and is going to be listening to your direction. A really, really nice way to do that is through the walk. It's a very good ritual to get a dog to become a follower. And that's my go-to. But, I mean, to start, you can just use food. If they're in kennels, to earn trust, every time you go up to the kennel, they see that you're bringing food, they're going to realize that you're not a threat. That's a good place to start. But if you want to do more work, you got to get a slip lead on the dog's neck, and you got to take it for a walk. But, like I said, I'm not telling anybody to do anything I say. I'm just saying that's exactly what I would do if I was in Brazil right now to help you out.
Yeah.
I would be using food. Yep, just like Josh said. Start offering up tasty treats in between the food, and the dogs are gonna change their view about you. Yeah,
they really works. If we get an aggressive dog in here who I don't have a relationship with, and they're in a kennel, and they don't have a muzzle, this has happened before, they don't have a muzzle, it could take me up to a week of getting the dog walking in front of the kennel, dropping a little handful of food. Now, don't go and shoot yourself in the foot and give the dog a whole freaking meal.
Yeah.
Because now you're not valuable. You give it a little bit and you leave. Yeah. And then a little bit later, you come back, give it a little bit more and you leave. This way you get reps of the dog. I see you, there's food. So you become kind of valuable and less of a threat. The dog then will eventually start seeing you, and you might get a little bit of a tail wag, you might get a little excitement. Now you're getting somewhere. Trust. You have to trust first.
The most rewarding thing when a human aggressive dog starts wagging their tail when they see you.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. And that's the start. And that would be the time that you would be a little bit more safe to be able to put a slip lead on the dog and a muzzle on the dog. But these are very dangerous things to do, so I'm cautious to say again that I'm not telling you to do this. This is what I will do.
Yeah, there's even one more thing about these two dogs is that they're not in kennels. They came, they were on the street. They showed up in front of his property. He tried to find somebody to adopt them. This neighbor decided he was going to keep them, but the neighbor is kind of working on his house, is building kennels and stuff like that. So the neighbor said, hold on to them for a month and I'll get them. So he doesn't have enough kennels because he already has 5 dogs. So what he did is this, he let these 2 dogs in. So they're like in, how can I say that? In a piece of a property, like on the outside area. It's like a backyard, like a side yard, let's say like this. So they're loose. So this is...
Leo, my man, you just got yourself in a situation. So just keep things safe. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to be a dog trainer. Keep them safe, and then when that neighbor takes them, say good luck. You just got yourself in so many things could happen by not understanding how to deal with these 2 dogs, knowing nothing about them, and being like, come with me. Yeah, it's all right, man. You got yourself in a little bit of a pickle, so keep them alive and then give them to the owner. Like, there's nothing I can tell you that you're going to be able to pull off anyway.
Yeah,
so
there's too many variables.
Keep it safe.
Yeah, there's too many variables, and you don't even know if these dogs ever...
No, Leo, come on, bud. You're a good man.
Leo is just a big heart. He's trying to help.
He's got a big heart.
Yeah, he just felt so bad about these 2 dogs.
Keep them alive, buddy. Keep them alive, and then the owner will sort it out, right?
Yeah.
Don't get yourself injured.
It's a tough one. Gabriela said good night. Gabriela.
Good night.
Who else is? Oh, Luciana is here. Lu said we can give any owner the power to have a better communication with the dog using the e-collar. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I want to talk. Let's talk a little bit. Let's get into this. The variables of the aggression in dogs, right? I know you guys had Rhodey, is that Rhodey, the latest dog?
Yep.
Okay, tell everybody about Rhodey. That was a tough case. I think I followed this there were two cases that you guys had that were very interesting. I think it's Rhodey and one before him. I can't remember the name, but
Yeah.
Chance or Tyson or
Chance. I think it was Chance. I mean, here's what I want you guys to go through a little bit. When you get a dog like this, that's a dog that is a bite risk. That he comes on to you on a muzzle. So talk to me about the first few days, right? These days where you have to work the dog on a muzzle, and when you feel like it's safe enough to, maybe bring him to the yard, or maybe walk him with another dog. So tell us a little bit how you start with dogs that are like in this level of difficulty.
We have, just so we're clear, the mistake you don't want to make, which we've made in the past so we don't do it anymore, we make sure that they come in with all the tools on and a muzzle on. And it's a basket muzzle, so this dog can keep this on for up to a week without me having to take it off. Yeah. That's going to be the first move, so you don't get yourself into a complete mess like I did with Chance. Chance came in off muzzle.
Okay.
No tools on.
So, because we instructed them.
She couldn't get it on.
The owner could not get the muzzle on.
He kept nipping at it.
Yeah.
So,
oh boy.
So let's say that he does come in on a muzzle, because that's how they should come in. Getting the dog on him, getting that guy on a muzzle revolved around getting him on a catch pole, which was not fun for me or him. But so let's say he comes in on a muzzle, the dog's in the kennel. This is a typical situation. Now it's going to be however long the dog needs. So I'm going to have the food thing going where I'm feeding the dog a little at a time. So he sees my face. He's in isolation. So he's not down with the other dogs. He's not hanging around humans. He's in a kennel in a dark room. Like, it sounds bad, but this is the technique.
Yep.
Because now anything that comes into that room is better than the nothingness that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I mean, I hope your viewers can understand that this is behavioral. This is rehab. This is not always pretty. Yep. So they're in isolation, and the only face they see is me. I come in, I feed them, and I also let them out for potty breaks, and that's all they do until I start seeing the sign. And it happens 3, 4, 5 days in. You open that door and you're getting some softer looks. Mm-hmm. And then I will talk to the dog. I take a lot of risks that I'm sure if people sat in the room would be like, what the hell's that guy doing? But it works for me. If he gives me a soft look and I feel like it's really genuinely soft, I'll sit down on the floor with the slip lead in hand, and the dog will come up and sniff me, and I won't look at it, and I'll keep my head down. Don't do any of this stuff, guys, but this is what I do.
Yeah.
And then now he feels safe around me. Doesn't respect me, but he feels safe around me, and he's looking forward to seeing me again.
Yeah.
Now I can extend my time with him a little longer. Maybe now I start with something as simple as have you sit at the threshold before we go out the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you're doing that. And before you know it, adding these little things slowly, now you got the dog walking through the house with you, sitting at thresholds, going and pottying, coming back in, sitting at the threshold, going in the kennel. Holy crap, he's listening, he's following. Yeah. And now I might add in a little bit more. I might withhold some food so that he's hungry. I'm not by any means making this dog full. At any point, this dog needs to be hungry, because that's my way to his trust and to his motivation at this point. Yeah. And then I'll slowly start teaching with low pressure, like low social pressure, a command like maybe place, depending on how bad the dog is, or the walk. But I always have a slip lead on, and I always have a muzzle on. And what usually happens, eventually, the dog is comfortable enough around me where it's loose up and it is walking with me, but eventually it says, I'm outside.
Yeah.
I don't have to follow you. Who the hell are you? And then we have a conversation, and this is where I get respect. There's a ritual with dogs, and I see this over and over and over again. They will try to bite you. And guess what that bite is? That is an opportunity. The dog strikes at you. Rhodey just struck at me when he first came in. Day one, he struck at me. I corrected him properly, and I did the ritual of submitting him. Yeah. I'm just using blunt terms here. And guess what happened? As soon as I submitted him, he got up afterwards, came over to me, went right between my legs, softened up, and allowed me to touch him and never struck at me again. He has not struck at me since he's been here. So every dog who gives you a fight, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. But you keep winning these fights. You keep saying, you strike at me, this is what happens, and then we continue on our walk anyway. Plus, I'm the guy that gives you food. They say, you're the guy. Yeah. I'm not the guy. You win. And then you have to be a good leader, though. You can't just be hard on the dog all the time. You have to show softness when they soften up. You have to show appreciation for that. And then they'll learn that, okay, if I'm soft around this guy, things go good. If I harden up and try to be dominant, it never works out for me. And so then once a dog decides in his mind, okay, you're the protector and the provider, you're golden. But I can tell you right now, there's probably less than 1,000 people in America that know how to do that properly.
Oh, yes.
So you have to figure out how to do that. And once you can figure that out, man, you are a valuable person to the dog industry. And so, every time a dog bites at me, that's an opportunity to have a conversation to clear up any confusion that dog might have about him going to try to gain control. So there are always opportunities. It's an opportunity. So when a dog strikes at me, it's once it's over, progress has been made. Yeah. Progress just got made in our relationship. So I don't know if I answered your question properly. It could take up to a week. It could take a day or two. And then once that's done, once that ritual's been done, which has to be done, by the way, I'm a firm believer that has to be done. Your dog's not done if you haven't done that. Yeah. Okay? He's going to bite you eventually. He's going to try. So eventually he's not going to want to do something. He's going to give it a shot. Because what the relationship is it's history. It's what has happened in the past when I did this. That's what it is. And I can tell him, this is what happens. Remember? Yes. This is what happens. And so, once you get a dog, I've been saying the term under your thumb, you're good. I have that with Rhodey right now. You know, I can correct him very firm without a muzzle, and he does not come back at me. Because psychologically, I've done the job of becoming the leader. I've really become the job. I'm not just, I did the ritual of submitting him in a way that he understands, which is a side submission. So it's a dog whispering technique. It's even older than that, but I call it dog whispering because that's what people think of. And that technique for me is my go-to for getting a dog who snaps at me. That's how I finish the ritual. Whatever correction I give, I finish it with them submitting on their side. And I don't care about what trainers want to say these days about how that's old school and it doesn't work. Well, guess what? It's working over and over and over again. So the problem is you don't know how to do it. Right? So I'm sorry if you got bit trying it, but it works when you do it right.
I would never try it because
don't try it.
You have to really know what you're doing, truly.
But you've seen it work.
I've seen it work.
Immediate results.
I've seen it work so many times.
The dog change immediately afterwards if you do it right. Now, some dogs might take a couple because they're really stuck in their ways, but most dogs, you've seen it over and over again. Once it's done,
the cat is knocking over the tripod.
Once it's done, we're good. And now, I don't want anyone to be confused here. I'm not a hard ass all the time to dogs. I will soften up the dogs more than most, I think. But you have to know when, so that they know that you're going to be fair. You're going to take care of them. You're not a threat to them. Am I getting this right? Here we go. So that's my thing. It's a ritual, and dogs do it with each other. And if you learn how to do that, it's a dying art, though. Here's the thing: is guys who learn this, gals who learn this, less and less and less and less. I think within 50 years, there's going to be nobody being able to do this type of work. So everyone wants to rely on using rewards to counter condition, and I'm going to tell you right now that works to a degree. But when the dog doesn't want to listen to you, it's going to bite at you. And if you don't do something about that properly, you have a problem on your hands that you're going to hopefully dodge the rest of your life, but eventually you're going to get nailed by that dog. So, it's a rare thing. I'm talking to a lot of people right now. It's a rare thing for people to understand what I'm talking about because I actually don't know anybody. I don't think I know anybody that does the technique that I do still. It's dead. Nobody uses it anymore.
Well, here, let me tell you this. I know exactly what you're talking about because I've done this a few times. And awesome. I know the feeling. I know that the dog gets it. I love the way you put relationship in terms of history, because people throw that term a lot. You need to build a relationship with the dog. You need to build a relationship with the dog, but people don't really understand what that means. And it's exactly what you said. It's history. What happens between you and me when I challenge you? What happens when I'm soft to you or you're soft to me? So exactly, I know exactly what you said, what you mean. Exactly. I've done that. My oldest.
I like that about you, because you can relate, because you've done that style of work.
Yeah.
That's how you started.
Yep.
I meet a lot of trainers, and they don't know who Cesar Millan is or anything like this. They don't know about this stuff. So there's the missing link oftentimes with when they're struggling, they come in shadow. That oftentimes what's missing is they never studied dogs.
Yep.
They studied e-collar work, they studied how to teach a command, but they don't know a dog that well.
Yep.
They can't read it well enough. They don't understand the species well enough and how a dog views things. And that's the missing link. If you're going to work with a dog, you should probably take a good long time getting to know what a dog is.
Yeah.
How they interact with each other, how they claim leadership among each other. Because that's where it's at, man.
And it's so interesting, because right about when I started, I had 6 dogs of my own. So I was in the mix of the observing these dogs relate to one another. Like my oldest dog, the one that passed away this year, this is the dog that taught me everything. He was a basset hound, and you think a basset hound is the easiest dog in the world.
No, I don't think so.
He was tough when he was young. He challenged me head on like a few times when he was like a year old. He was like, you know what? I'm going to do it my way. And he would put his mouth on me. Really, like everybody that knew him later on, everybody was like, this is the best dog in the world. He's so calm. Yeah, he was. He was super calm. He was super social. But he was like, you know what? In the beginning, I had like marks all over my arm. He would come at me. So I learned a lot from him in the beginning. And as I got other dogs throughout my life, I lived with groups my entire life. This is the smallest group I ever had, 2 dogs. Everybody's like, oh, you only have 2 dogs now. I said, yeah, I'm closer to normal now. So you learn how to be with dogs in a different way. You learn how to observe them and see how they communicate with each other. My dogs never fought among each other because I never allowed that to happen. But it's so awesome that you can bring the 2 things together, right? The softness, the hardness, the right moment to do everything. And when you have that background, the tools really do come as a different thing. Like, yes, it's a lot easier. But I had a situation happen to me in the latest workshop that I did here. I was working with one of the dogs. He's a medium-sized dog, and he was an insecure dog. And I was working him on a prong collar. And he had an e-collar on, but I didn't have the remote in my hand. For some reason, we were just talking about the prong. And I let the leash go, and I turned my back, and he got up, and he put his paw up, and he was at me, looking like me, and said, well, I know what comes next. And this was a great moment, because it was exactly that body language challenge, that moment that if you move the wrong way, the dog is going to bite you.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but probably the students didn't know that because they don't have that kind of experience. But it was a dance. It was awesome because we got to film. I had a friend of mine, he was filming, and I got that on tape. And when you go back and you watch it, you see, well, there's a lot of value in knowing what to do when you don't have any other option but yourself. And this is gold. And I don't want my clients to necessarily be like that. I don't ask for them.
No.
But it just for us, I think for us that we work with dogs every day, it helps a lot. Reading the dog, understanding the difference between insecurity and maybe a little bit of fear and maybe a dog challenging you. So it's awesome. I totally get you, Josh. I understand exactly.
It's the fun part for me, out in the social yard without e-collars on, and or if the e-collars are on, I always like to run the pack as natural as possible is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
It's my personal favorite thing to do. Like you said, I wouldn't have clients try any of these techniques. These are for me.
Yeah.
But and they give me an edge with the dogs that are more difficult. But there's nothing better than taking a pack and being able to live with them and everybody get along, and you are leading, and it's a very fulfilling thing. And
yes.
The dogs are fulfilled. You can do a lot with the dogs. So to learn, new dog trainers coming up, I would say it would be very valuable to set the tools down for a second.
Yeah.
And I used to do that, by the way, even after I learned e-collar work. I'd be like, I'd take it with me, but I would be like, let me see what there is to learn right now without this, because people were doing this 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Without this tool, so I want to make sure I can. So I spent a long time making sure I could do it, and then once I realized I could, then I just grabbed the tool again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just needed to know I knew how.
Yeah.
And now that I know how, and I'm so grateful and glad that for Cesar Milan, because he opened this up for me. Without him, I don't think I would have ever discovered it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. A lot of people ask me when they, you know, when I go help families and I go to their homes or in the workshops, people talk a lot about Cesar, and I said, well, he has a special place in the learning curve of any dog trainer. I'm not gonna say that you are gonna be like him, or you in your home with your dog, you're gonna. It's a little bit different. You kind of have to dive in and understand what he does, and you have to put that together with everything else that you know, because there's a craft in it, and Cesar is very special in what he does. But back in the day, it's good that we started this way. But I know that clients sometimes they'd be like, "Oh my God, I want to do exactly like Cesar." I said, it's not.
Yeah, bro.
You have to have something inside that not a lot of people have.
Agreed.
100%.
Like I have an example which is kind of sad, but it's true. One of the girls that went to the workshop with me, we went to California in 2013. She was from Sweden, a very nice girl. She was my friend. We went to the workshop every day together. And when she came back to Sweden, she was so excited. She saw all that, and she went to help a family with 2 dogs that were fighting. And it was kind of too much. She went there and she messed up, and the dogs had this horrific fight right in front of her. It destroyed her career. She never worked with dogs again, ever. Because it's not that the dogs died or anything. They were fine afterwards. But imagine for her coming out of this, you know, this workshop. She was so excited. She was so happy. But I knew it was too much for her. Maybe she didn't understand that, but she didn't let it sink in and understand it. How am I going to put this into practice here where I live, in a different environment, in somebody else's home? So I'm always very careful to talk about this type of work to everybody, because people sometimes get too excited and they jump right in and they make a mistake.
Yeah, that's why we don't talk about it anymore. This is the first time I've talked about it on camera in a long time. Because that's right. People try it, and it's like you said, it's not as easy as watching a Cesar Milan episode.
Yeah.
You and this is why I like talking to you, because it's very rare that I can talk to somebody who has a background of this sort. I had to study more than just Cesar Milan's TV show. Yeah. And I'm sure you did too. That's not the only resource. So you have to study a ton of things, including just dogs in front of you. And then also I had to dissect what Cesar was doing, because from a scientific standpoint, which I like to think scientifically, he wasn't able to explain to me what it was he was doing. So I had to figure out what he was doing. Like, for example, people think that's magic.
Yeah.
People think that's magic. But what it is it's a conditioned punisher.
Yeah.
What he does is he goes in. It's no different than me saying no and tapping on the e-collar.
Yeah.
What he does, the first thing he does is he goes into the dog and he goes, and does a physical.
Yeah.
And now he's able to just provide the sound without the physical, and the dog relaxes. And it's, but people miss that part. They think it's just the sound.
Yeah.
It's just the sound.
Yeah.
I'm doing the sound, Cesar. You know?
I had so many people come in and say, you know, I'm trying to thing and it's not working.
Yeah. So, I was fortunate enough to, at the same time that I was studying Cesar, I didn't realize how fortunate I was until I started reflecting back. I had Cesar Milan going into my brain, mixing that up every day, obsessed with it. I was going to work in the human services field, and I had a mentor that was a behavioral specialist who worked with people with intellectual disabilities. So he was feeding me like B.F. Skinner and the quadrants and all this stuff. Well, when I went home, I was digging into dog whispering, right? And then I kind of got them. At first, it was like, how do these fit together? Yeah. And then eventually, one day, it just went click. Yeah. And I got it. And then I was on fire. I went. Yeah. And so I was very fortunate to have those things line up. I had a mentorship with somebody who was scientific, and I had the spirituality of Cesar Milan, and that's what embodies me as of today, I try to keep it spiritual to a degree, but very scientific and practical.
Yep.
And that mesh is home for me when I'm training a dog. I like to connect with the dog. I don't just want to be in a sterile room saying plays, e-collar work, good, break, plays.
Yeah.
I need to connect. So I need to mix them for my own joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that too. I like to learn from different sources, and you kind of keep putting all these nuggets in a basket, right? And you eventually you create your own way, and you use everything because every case is different. For me, I don't have a place. I mean, I do a few board and trains here, but my apartment is tiny. I can only do one at a time. So most of the time I go see clients at home. I have to make it work where they are with the owners right there and then. And it's
tough.
It's a huge challenge. Like, people live in small places. This is a huge city. There are no sterile areas. There's people in trucks and in cars and bikes and sounds everywhere. So I have to be creative every day. Like, okay, I know this works, but how am I gonna make this work here with this people, with this dog, in this street? And it's I started backwards. I used to have a place, but it wasn't like. It was in the old days. It was like a board. It was not a board and train. It was like a daycare and boarding place. It was a big place. And then I made a lot of mistakes. Not that I injured a dog or anything, but I would do a lot of things different. When I gave that up and started working the way I do now, I discovered the real challenges. Like, how am I gonna make this work here? These people live in this small place. It's tiny. This street is unbearable. There's so much sound. But then again, every time I go back and I see, well, I eventually want to go back to doing just board and train. But boy, there's so much to learn in what I'm doing right now. It's so challenging. It's so challenging. You have limited amount of time with a dog. Of course, I'm not able to produce like this 1,000% results right away. But
no, of course not.
But I can do a lot that I couldn't do like 3 or 4 years ago, because now I'm forced to think differently every day. Every time is like, okay, this is what I have right now. I have to make it happen. Like, maybe in 3 hours, let's see what I can do in 3 hours with these 2 dogs.
That is so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
You need someone following you around, filming you.
Yes, you need a TV show. Yeah.
Like
because awesome. That is so entertaining.
You guys could see that.
It's so entertaining.
I had a few people, like some students here, they want to do this with me because it's very challenging. It's very different. People are different.
Yeah.
You go into some homes, there are kids. Sometimes there are other dogs, or there's old people. There's people in wheelchairs. There's dogs that and it's right there, and then you have to do something right there. And maybe
Josh and I both started in private lessons, so we can relate.
Yeah, and you know what? You how can I say this? The private lessons keep your brain sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So I can tell you're probably on top of your game, because every situation is different. Your brain is probably just learning how to problem solve, and that's something. So we talk about problem solving on our own a lot here.
Yeah.
And because I believe that is a skill that you should have. So I always encourage people to when you have a problem, try to solve it first, and then if you really can't, then go to Google.
Yeah.
Okay. But you are doing this amazing thing where you're going in, it's different every time. So your brain develops. When I did private lessons too, I can relate to this, and I kind of missed them because of this. You became very good at solving problems, very creative. Yeah. Because you have to. It's the nature of the job.
I have to. Otherwise, I go broke. Some days my brain is so wired up, I can't sleep because
you can't even sleep.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, I have to do this. I have to do that. How am I gonna fix this? But it keeps you sharp. And I
miss that. I'm envious a little bit, because I know that I'm spoiled with the board and trains where I know I can get a quiet room. You know what I mean? And do my thing. But when you are in the trenches doing the hardest type of work there is, and I kind of, I like a challenge. I love what I learned from those situations. You learn how to talk to people
yes.
Under pressure.
Yep.
So it's like a dog's flipping out in the living room, and it's sitting here on your leash, and you have to deal with the dog while telling the people, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, stay right there. So your awareness, you become this. Your brain just becomes so sharp.
Yep.
I feel like I'm a little dull because I haven't done that in a long time. I really respect that type of work.
Well, sometimes I watch the videos that you guys do, and I think, well, maybe I could have gotten that dog better. I wanted that heel to look better, but the situation.
Different when you're in the home.
But yeah, I'm thinking the situation is so different, and I've had to deal with dogs like you have to do prong collar intro on a dog that's skittish in a busy street with a whole bunch, 100 people passing by. The family is all like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then the dog is crocodile rolling in the middle of the street. Everybody's passing by like, what are you doing? And then you have to explain to the family, calm the dog down, keep doing. It's like, keep rolling. You have to keep, and you keep talking to people at the same time all the time. And it forced me to be better with people. That's the thing for me. I learned how to, communicate with different people in different ways all the time.
Personality types, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm envious in a way. I really am. I love what we do, but what you do is going to keep you, you're just going to keep getting better faster, I think, because your brain's just constantly evolving and learning new ways to do things. So you won't get stuck in a rut as easy as somebody who is just, plays in a quiet room and all this stuff. It's like, that's nice and that's great, but as soon as you're in front of actual people and something's going wrong, it's like, oh, I'm not prepared for this. I've never seen this before. So it's like,
and you start sweating and you're like, man, I have to explain this. I have to explain what's going on here. People cannot, it's like multitasking times 1,000. You're doing 1,000 things at a time.
It's good for you.
It's
to a degree.
Yeah. Man, I mean, sometimes I feel like, man, I wish I had this place that I could just, do this quietly.
Yeah, but you're gonna be a kick-ass. Like, by the time this is done, you're gonna be so experienced that when you do settle down and you got this place, you're just gonna be one badass that nobody can mess with. You've experienced it.
You know that I don't plan things anymore. This is what I learned. I go to a session. I know a few things about the dog, and they send out the form, and I ask the questions. Safety-wise, I want to know everything what's going on. But sometimes I used to plan stuff, and none of that works because the place was not suitable for that. So now I'm just what?
I hear you.
Yeah, and then you just kind of like, man, I have to do this differently.
It's a different thing, man.
Yeah.
People who are doing board and trains only, like, I don't know if they realize that that's a whole different game when you're in somebody's house. Like, you might not even get around to teaching a command.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have the time.
No.
Like, I have an hour. I can't teach you place. I need to worry about this over here and that over here. So it's like, I think it's a beautiful thing to learn how to do. And in fact, you're making me miss doing it. So it's like,
we can always add that service back.
Because I love the challenge. Like you said, you go in, you know a little bit about the dog.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really know what's going to happen as soon as you go pop on that collar.
Yeah.
And it comes up the leash.
Yeah.
And the 5-year-old's watching.
Yeah.
It's like, it really get your skills up there, I think, as far as awareness, people skills. Yeah, and I appreciate that type of work.
It's very challenging, but it's funny because we always crave the things we don't have, and sometimes we forget what we have, and we're just like, man, I wish I had this place, and I'm like, hang on a second, I'm in a good spot. I'm challenging myself, so I have to be grateful for that. And
absolutely.
I share a lot of your videos. Like my website is pretty awesome because I embed a lot of your videos because I want people to see. And some people are like, oh, but my street is different. It's not that calm. I said, well, I know that. But this is when your brain has to come in and you have to work on what you have. This is a direction. You have to take this and try to apply in your real world, where you live.
Yeah.
Because this is what I had to do. Everybody asked me when I came back from California, everybody asked me, oh, is Caesar the real thing? Is this what he does? Da, 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 da. I said, yes, he is. He did all of it right in front of me. But I have to be able to replicate that here. This is a different country. Everything's different. I don't have this ranch or 20 dogs that are awesome, or like a place with sheep so my dogs can sheep herd. I don't have none of that. I don't have a pool, none of that. I live in an apartment the size of a tuna can, and this is that's the truth, right? We have to make it happen here. And I say the same thing about your videos and Heather's videos, stories, Jeff's, Sean's, everybody. Like, I share everybody's videos on my website, and I always say, look at what they're doing, and you have to try to make it happen where you live, in your environment. Because this is the key. Everybody's different. Your place is different. You run your house in a different way. People have different habits. I mean, you guys have a baby. A lot of people struggle with one dog and a baby. You have like 12, 15 dogs, and there's an infant right there. And you make it work.
You know, Raquel, if you could get somebody to follow you around with a camera and get consent from the folks of homes that you go into, you got yourself one entertaining little video series that I would watch.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that because I was such a Cesar Milan guy back in the day. I always thought that would be so great to just go into people's houses and have somebody following you with a camera, and because you're there, you get to see these transformations in front of you. You get to see the tears of the client. You get to see the powerful stuff that happens in their house, and it's like, man, I want to share that with the world.
And you know, it's funny. A lot of that stuff really happens. Like a lot of times, you get to their home, and the dog is loose. There's no leash. There's nothing.
There's nothing.
Like last week I went to see a client. She has a Boston Terrier. She told me that the dog was skittish and then sometimes nips, strange people when they come in and stuff. I walked in. It took me 45 minutes to put that dog on a leash. And she was barking nonstop. And I was like, man, I should have recorded this. This was awesome.
Yes, you need to, man. You really need to. I think I would be your number one fan.
Yeah.
I would be watching that.
Because it's funny because people get to you and they're like, okay, you're going to come here tomorrow, 3 o'clock. And they immediately imagine that you know everything. So they don't worry about the dog. You just open the door and the dog just boom right in front of you.
I know. And the dog could be aggressive, right? Like I showed up at a house before, okay? Showed up at a house and like the dog's biting people. I'm like, okay, have it on a leash, have it everywhere. Where's the dog when I open up the door? He's right there.
Yeah.
Right there. And what's he doing? He's going.
Yeah.
I'm like really slowly. I'm like, can you put this leash around his neck? Please?
Yeah.
It's happening right now because it's like if I move. So you never know what you're getting into, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful entertainment, but it's also it's beautiful because as you work, you go through all the emotions, don't you?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You feel it all, and you see the people too. But it always ends with like happy tears. And so it's always a good ending. And I just feel like those moments, if you can capture that on camera, it's powerful stuff.
I'll see if a friend of mine will be okay doing
Dude,
this.
hey, have you ever been on YouTube and looked up Big Chuck McBride?
No, I don't know him. I'm gonna look him up.
Now listen, guys. I'm not saying anything that he does that I'm like telling you to do his techniques. Okay.
Okay.
But what he does is he goes into people's houses. Just gotta do it with a cell phone, following them, and he does like old dog whispering techniques mixed with some e-collar stuff nowadays. And he does it like right in like this like 85-year-old man and his wife and their kids, and he's sitting here wrestling this dog in the living room. And I don't know why, but I can't stop watching it. I would never do what he's doing. I would do things completely differently, right? It's too dangerous. But I'm sitting here watching this guy, and he's got this personality. He's like, I'm dog whisperer, Big Chuck McBride. He's got shin pads on. He's got shoulder pads on. He's got hockey gear on so he don't get bit. Oh. And he's wrestling these dogs. And so I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning it, but it is entertaining.
I know. It's just that, I try to film as much as I can, but there's also that element. Sometimes the person has to be okay, because it's their home, right? Some people just don't feel comfortable, it's their home, and sometimes there's kids involved, but it's interesting. It's draining. Like you get exhausted.
Yes, it is.
I don't get more than 2 clients a day. I can't. That's
a good idea. That's a really good idea to make sure you know your limit. And mine is 2 as well. Yeah. Back when I did it too. Because man, even though it might be an hour or maybe 2, it feels like you just worked like a 10-hour shift non-stop. Because your brain, like I said, what you're doing with your brain, and you'll probably be able to handle more as you go, maybe. But your brain, it's on.
And it takes so long.
You go into like a flow state. You know what I'm talking about? That flow state where like information just coming out of you. You're not even thinking.
This is how I am. I have a hard time slowing down. Like I get home about sometimes like 7:30, it's like midnight and my brain is still like.
Yep.
It's
yeah,
tough.
that's a real thing.
It's a
It
tough.
can destroy relationships.
Yeah.
It can destroy relationships.
I know
and
that. I know that from experience. Like
Me too.
not getting into the whole relationship thing, but yeah, mine is gone.
Because
Unfortunately.
we're obsessed.
Yep.
We got a problem, you know.
Yeah, I know. I that's why I always, enjoy your periscopes, Josh, because I really understand you. Because I kind of been there. I know this thing.
Yeah, I try to keep it real on there.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Oh, we have some questions here. Let's see. Jessica said, "I would be your assistant in the TV show." There you go. I need a camera person. You're here. So Nachum says, yes, I learned a ton from where I used to do one-on-ones. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
He
Oh,
said,
Russ, what's up, man?
he said, oh yeah, that's Russ, that's you. He said, plus you have the owner-dog relationship dynamic, which makes it that much more challenging. Yes.
Russ understands. I actually, I met Russ at T3, and me and him clicked because he just had that love for the human and dog relationship, the body language that you learn to use and all this stuff. If you find a love for that stuff, man, it's hard to not use it.
Yeah.
You know?
Russ, I invited Russ to be here on a live show. I think he was waiting for you guys to come in first. But so, Russ, you're still invited anytime you want. You're welcome. Okay, so let's get a little bit into we just dove right in. This is such a great topic. I love talking about it. I don't really have a chance to talk about it too much, but let's talk a little bit about the business side of the dog training in the experience that you guys have. Like, I think today is different. I think when I started, I didn't really know much about, other dog trainers putting out videos, and I didn't think that thing was real. I mean, I didn't know how to promote our jobs, right? I mean, what we do. So I started doing this, and when I started my YouTube channel, of course, I had found Jeff and Sean and Tori and everybody, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put out videos, and it was so weird because everybody here was against it. Everybody's like, why are you gonna put out videos? Because then you're gonna give away all you do, and then nobody else is gonna hire you. Yeah. When in fact it's the opposite. So I want you guys to talk. It is the opposite. Yeah. I want you guys to talk a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my grandmother said the same thing. Don't put out videos on what you're doing because then people won't bring their dogs to you.
I mean, it sounds like it makes sense though.
Right, but think about this. Like, if I needed to retile my bathroom, I could look up a YouTube video on how to do that.
Yeah, you sure could.
I don't want to do that.
Nope.
Yep.
I could never do it as well as the professional, and I don't want to take the time to do that.
Yep.
So we put out our videos, one, to help people. If they really want to do it themselves, they can by watching our videos.
Yep.
We also do it to show the dog owners how their dogs are doing while they're here. And it's gotten to be a point where people expect it, and we put out a video a day on every dog, or we try to. And what we've noticed is it brings us more business, not less.
Yep.
Because they say, look at how well those people can work with those dogs. I want my dog to go there.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And I know it's hard. Culture-wise, here in Brazil, I think people are a little bit more insecure. They're afraid. They're afraid of everything.
Americans are cocky.
Yeah. And whenever you put things out online, you're always going to have negative feedback sometimes. So that's what the delete button is for.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get, of course, that's going to happen.
Yeah. But you just have to think, this video helped 300 people and one person didn't like it. I helped 300 people. Yeah. Right? Or 300 people didn't like it, but I helped one person.
That's the one to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I started my YouTube channel, there were no views. Nobody saw my videos. And so I started one by one. And then people are like, oh, I saw your video. I really like that. And I want to know more about you. How can I know more about what you do? And it's always about the smallest percentage of people that you're able to help. It doesn't, nothing else matters. If people don't like it, that's fine. If people put a bad comment, you just delete it. But yeah, you keep making videos and it becomes, and you know what's interesting? I was going to tell you guys about this. When I started making videos, I really focused on the practice with dogs. Like I wanted to put the exercises, I wanted to show the dogs all the time. And then I started doing Q&A. I said, well, you know what? Let me see how it goes, right? Let me start with the Q&A thing. And I saw that people really enjoyed that interaction. I love it. I love talking to people. So I started doing more videos like this, and it's really awesome. Today I mix it up. Because of course I don't have a place, so I don't have a whole lot of dogs to show all the time. But I try to do these conversations, which is something that I really enjoy. And sometimes something like that pops out of my head, and I had this dog, and I saw this situation. I'm like, you know what? Let me just make a video about it, or go live, and then we'll talk about it. And this is really awesome because in the dog training industry, I think one thing people don't understand is that it's a lot about the people. It's a lot about the people.
Yeah, tremendous amount, yeah.
And then sometimes when you don't
it's
have
a human service for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have that connection to the people, and you can be an awesome trainer, but you know, people just don't click with you, and they just don't do what you want. So I find value in that, and I see you guys do Q&A, and I know Julia, sometimes you just go live. Oh, I'm just gonna go live, and then Josh is right there in the kitchen, and this is awesome because you get to see the real you, right? It's the you behind the dog trainers, the person right there. And I know, Josh, you work with, you know, behavior analysis of people, and you probably know this a lot better than me. And people in today's society, people are lonely. People don't have friends. People are isolated behind their phones. And this connection is missing for a lot of people. And I see that all the time when I see clients. A lot of people just want to talk to you. Don't you feel that sometimes?
I think that's so true.
Definitely dealt with that. We have done follow-up sessions where we have left and said, I think they just invited us over to hang out.
Absolutely.
We never touched the dog.
Stay for dinner, have some wine.
Come to the pool.
Yeah,
like,
you know,
what was the issue with the dog again?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
We can talk about that later. You know, it's a human service.
I had a client, God bless her, she's a nice woman, and I still see her from time to time, but sometimes I went to see her. Yes, there were problems with her dogs, but she was just like, you know what, forget about the dogs, sit here, I just want to talk. Really, she's like, I just need to talk to you, and we'll talk for like 2 hours, and I didn't even touch the dog, did nothing with the dog. And she's like, oh, that's fine. And then now, because, you know, we kind of became sort of friends, I have to say that. But she invites me. She's like, come on over to have lunch. Yeah, there's some stuff with the dogs. But you know what? You know, forget about that. Just sit here. Let's talk. And this happens all the time.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? You know what's funny about you? Because you go into people's homes all the time. I'm sure you probably notice. I mean, do you end up being a little bit of a counselor?
Yeah.
At times.
Yes.
Marriages,
Yes.
relationships, kids' advice.
Yeah.
I mean, people think you're a dog trainer, right? So you come in, and all of a sudden they're talking about their kids' problems, their husband's problems, their problems, and next thing you know, and you're actually being able to give them answers that work. and you're helping them. You're like a life coach.
Yeah.
You know?
There was a friend of mine, he told me the other day, he's like, well, you know, don't you think maybe you should be studying psychology or something? I said, you know, maybe this is a field study. This is what I do every day. I don't know, but everything is intertwined. You know, you find out eventually that every time you go help a family with the dog is just a bridge between you and somebody that needs help. This is why it's so important, the people side of this equation, I guess. This is why I asked you guys about the go home sessions, you know, when we put out videos, all that is us talking to people. When you put out a video and you teach place command or you teach heel or whatever it is, you're talking to somebody. So you have to talk in a way that people understand, and you have to sit down and explain your work the way they understand. And it's such a deep map. People have a lot of stuff in their minds, you know, it's a lot.
Not to mention, Raquel, it's not the dogs who are paying you.
Yeah.
It's the people.
Yeah.
So if you don't care about the people, then you're not going to get paid.
Well, I've always said the dogs are totally happy being ill-behaved.
Yeah.
They are happy jumping, pulling on the leash,
Biting,
stealing stuff off counters. It's the people that want their dogs to be better behaved, so they can enjoy them better. So you're really doing this for the people.
Yeah.
So
And I love this about you guys because it's funny your videos. It's so funny the interaction between you two. Like the other day, I think Julie was like, "No, you have to call me this." Like you're doing like a play or something. You're playing some sort of character, and then Josh had to call you some other name.
oh, Regis. I mean,
Oh yeah.
And-
You try to have fun with it because you're doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
So you got to try to have a little fun. You like think of it this way: we're the ones making the videos, so you think you're bored of watching them. We get bored of making them, so we have to make them entertaining for us. You know?
I
here's
love the videos.
73rd video on how to teach plays in 2 weeks.
How many times have you done it?
A lot.
And it's like it's the same thing over and over again. So if you can throw little things in there, people appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love the videos. I have such a nice time, and I mean I follow all of it. Now tell me about the shadow program, which I want to go eventually. But tell me about the shadow program because I've seen a whole bunch of people came in.
So Josh especially offers so much value with his training, and you can learn a lot by watching the videos. But we actually offer people to stay with us for 5 days, 8 hours a day, and they basically get to follow us around. Everything we do, they are watching.
Yeah.
They can get hands-on if they want to. You'll go on walks. You'll watch us train the dogs, teach any commands. You'll watch go-home sessions. You'll listen in on phone calls.
Yeah, you'll see everything.
You will
We're not
see
gonna hold back.
everything.
Yeah.
And people love it. We've had probably at least 5 to 10 shadows, I think.
Yeah.
Some of them have come back for a second time. And it's going to get even better because we're moving. I don't know if I told you we were moving on
Oh
Wednesday.
my gosh, you are?
Yeah, we're moving on Wednesday, and the new, it's still going to be out of our house, but it's better layout for training, and it's actually going to have a room that the shadow student can stay in
Right.
while they
Oh,
are
it's
here.
my room. Yes.
And like I know people, if the trainers are watching, they're wondering because we shadowed before too. It's like yes, you'll get hands-on experience because
Some shadow programs don't offer that.
right.
Okay.
And also you will see everything because we're working, man. We need to get it done. So you're just an extra hand, really. It's like
Yeah.
here, take this dog.
Take a
and
dog,
do
we're going
it.
downtown.
And yeah, you got to do it. And like if a dog needs a big correction and you're in the room, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not gonna be like, leave the room. I gotta correct this up. You're gonna enter our lives for 5 days. Ask any questions you need. We're more than happy to give you everything that we have, and get the most out of it. Yeah.
And they can also watch me edit my videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can see the emails that I send to people,
Calls.
phone, everything. You can hold Jessie.
Oh yes, that's the best part.
That's something
You
to
know,
buy.
it might take you. It might cost a little more, but you can hold.
Oh my gosh, look at him. He
Why
is
did
the
you go
most
so late?
adorable baby. Look at him. Jesse.
Turn.
Wait, you ain't looking at that camera. What?
Hey,
There you go.
Jesse. I'll be there soon. Yes.
Yay!
Look at
Yeah,
him.
we're excited about our move. I need to put it on Facebook still. I've told all of our clients it's on 6 acres
Ooh.
on a river.
Yeah. It's got
Wow,
fields, it's
that's
got woods.
It's got a
awesome.
huge open field. It's such a nice layout for what we want to do.
That's where we're going.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Now, tell me about this decision of having a new employee, Gabby, right? Gabby's been with you guys for like 8, 6
A couple
months?
months now.
Yeah.
5 months, I think.
5
Yeah.
months, I think, something like that.
It's just so nice to have an extra set of hands.
Yes, it really is.
And you don't realize all the little things that someone else can do that allows you to do another thing
Yeah.
that doesn't drain energy, right?
I
so,
know. This is a tough
because
one.
every little thing that needs to be done is
It adds up.
energy draining. You only have so much energy in the day. So even though, like, Gabby does so much. She does train the dogs with us as well, but just behind the scenes, she's cleaning up the yard. She's taking the dogs out. She's cleaning the kennels. She's teaching plays. She's doing reps. So it's like, it's nice. It's really nice. So I feel a little spoiled.
I know she sounds very nice, and I see how she can help you guys, especially now you have the baby, and you have shadow programs, you have go home sessions, you do Skypes, right? Also with people,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
do all
Yeah,
that.
we do Skypes, yeah.
So
Yep,
everybody here in
Skype.
Brazil,
People-
if you're interested, you can set up a Skype with Josh and Julie if you want. Let me just show you their website. This is their website. You can come in here and you can see all these stuff, testimonials and all that stuff, and you go to services here and
we need to update that.
Yeah, we did big time.
okay, so but here it is, but it's fine. You can find everything here, but you see everything that they do, and if you guys are interested in Skypes with these two masters, you can set it up, send a form, and all that.
What's that?
Thiago said your videos changed the game. Congratulations on the videos. It's an inspiration. Yes, it is. These guys are awesome. Russ said that it's just worth it just to hang out with Jesse. It is all about Jesse. Okay, guys, I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I know you have a baby and you have a lot to do, but just before you guys go, what would you say to new trainers? What will be your best advice for people that are starting? What can you say?
We'll go separate. We'll go separately.
Go separate.
My advice would be you have a lot to offer. Even if you don't think you do, you can help people even just by teaching a prong collar walk. Something so little can help make a huge change with a family. So don't discredit what you can offer people and just work with as many dogs as possible.
That's true. That's actually a really good piece of advice.
Yep.
Because what you think is little knowledge, somebody doesn't know at all. So yeah, you can help. And then if I had to add to that, it would be before you throw your whole life away. Just kidding. Before you get really dedicated to it, though. Fall in love with it, fall in love with the craft and the art and all that, because it gets tough. And you're going to want to make sure on those days where it's tough, you're like, I need to figure out what makes this dog click. You're going to want to have a little bit of obsession about it, because you're going to be a year in and you're going to be like, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to be so into solving this puzzle that even when it gets tough, you're excited to wake up because you got a dog in the next room and you're not sure what makes him tick. And you want to learn about that. And so for me, if you're new at this, one more little piece of advice is don't forget to study dogs. It's not just about commands.
Yep. Absolutely. And I love what you said about, the tough days. There are tough days.
There are tough days. There's a lot of tough days.
Yep.
And some days you get up and you just like, man, what the hell am I doing? It can drain you. It changes your life.
Yeah,
And
look at us. Do we look like we're having a good time?
Yeah.
No, we are.
We're dead.
People see what they see online, and there's so much work that goes behind it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not all glamorous, but we love it.
We are having a good time. Really, that's the secret is to love it, because it's going to get tough and you're going to be tired and people are going to put your videos down sometimes, and there's going to be people against you, and there's going to be all this drama. Everything's going to go wrong for a little while, but the dog's in the other room. You love it so much, you're inspired to continue to keep going. And that's it. The people who aren't completely in love with it won't last 5 years.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think they won't last 6 months because
They won't last 6 months. I was being generous there, wasn't I?
yeah, you were because
Generous.
this career can affect your life, your family life, your relationships, your friends.
Yeah.
I hear from my friends till this day that I'm crazy, that I'm giving up my life, that I don't do anything else. So there's a lot of energy going against what your wish is. So you really have to want it. You really have to want it.
One more that is really important. People always say this, but it is freaking true. Oh, you're gonna have to get rid of some people in your life probably, and surround yourself by the right ones.
Yeah.
I haven't met a trainer that hasn't had to get rid of people.
Yep.
That hasn't had to shed off some of that negativity and that toxicity of bad relationships and start anew. Guys, that's real, and that's one of the hardest things to move forward. But once you do, look what you get out of it.
Yeah, it is so true. It's almost like it sets you free. In the beginning, it's hard because you think this is all you know, but then and you just like, it opens new doors and you discover something new. It really sets you free.
Those dogs are a gift, man. The dogs are a gift to us, man. They help you balance your life out. So
Yeah, it's a privilege. It really is.
it really is.
It really is a privilege at the end of the day. And look at this. I get to be here talking to you guys
Amazing.
because of the dogs. If it weren't for the dogs, you probably would never met. So I'm so grateful. Guys, you guys are amazing. You know I love you. I put that all the time
We
because
love
it is
you,
true.
man.
Yes,
We love
we
you
do.
so much, right?
And Jesse is just like, I'm so in love with him.
He's just the cutest little guy.
And come
I feel like
visit soon.
I feel like I know him already since he was born because I already know the
Yes.
smiles and everything, and it's just, I love babies and I love you guys truly. You guys do an amazing work, and hopefully next year maybe I'll get to go and shadow with you guys.
We would love to see you.
Love
It's gonna
that.
be such a pleasure. But guys, thank you so much. Really, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are so special, and it was a privilege to me to have you here on my show.
That's wonderful.
Thanks, Raquel.
Thank you very
Have
much.
a good night. Get some sleep.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for coming in. Make sure you sub to Julie and Josh's YouTube channel. They post amazing videos all the time. Follow them on Facebook, all social media, Instagram, all that stuff. And follow Jesse. He's so cute and you're gonna smile every day if
follow
you see his pictures.
Thank you,
Thank you
Raquel.
guys. I'll see you
Bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jesse.